Have you ever heard the term POP or POP, POS, ANSI, HACCP? All of those are different acronyms for things pertaining to the food service industry. It can be super confusing, especially when you're in a conversation with somebody and they're saying these words, or even you read them on a Facebook group. Sometimes we just don't know what those mean, especially if you're brand new to our industry. So today I'm going to go over some of the more popular terms and what they mean. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. Who's ready to level up their food truck game? Then let's talk about Table Needs. They're serving a complete package, a powerful point-of-sale system, built-in QR code menu ordering, a slick KDS, and they even handle your sales tax automatically. But wait, there's more. Their customer support team is like having your food truck BFF helping you grow your business. Visit TableNeeds.com or catch them on Facebook. Using industry-specific jargon, it creates a lot of confusion and frustration among new people, and even some older folks, because words are always changing, and the acronyms certainly are always changing. Whenever someone uses industry-specific jargon, sometimes it even has different meanings from one person to the next within the same industry. So today I'm going to go over some of the real popular acronyms and words that you may hear in your career as a food service industry person. So the first one is ANSI. ANSI is ANSI, and it stands for American National Standards Institute. It oversees the development of voluntary standards and practices for products and services and processes and systems, as well as how the expectation for personnel to act in our industry, and it's done for the United States. Where you're going to see this most frequently is going to be associated with equipment and the test if you have to take the food manager certification. Every company that provides that test has to be ANSI approved. That means that no matter which company you go with, the test is always going to be nearly the same. The questions will be different, but the material will always be the same. BOP, that stands for a business owner policy, and that is an insurance term. BPP, that's also an insurance term. It means business personal property. And basically what that covers is the loose contents inside your food truck or food trailer that are not permanently attached to the truck or trailer. So you would think of your inventory. It's not permanently attached. COI, that is a certificate of insurance. You'll need to have one of those available when you go to certain events. The organizer may ask for that certificate of insurance, number one, to prove that you're insured, and then number two, they may want to be added as an additional insured for the length of the event that you're doing. This one is specific to Florida. It is DBPR, and what that represents is the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. This is where you get your food license in Florida for most folks. They do all the restaurants. They do all of the mobile food vending units. Now, the reason I bring that one up, because it's a Florida specific, is what I want you to think about in your state. It may not be the health department. It could be some complete other organization. It could have a whole different name other than quote unquote health department. EIN, that is issued by the federal government. It stands for Employer Identification Number. Think of that as a social security number for the business. FDA, you've probably heard that many times because they do a lot of inspections of meats and poultries and that type of thing. That stands for Food and Drug Administration. That's also the organization in the government that has authored the model code that 48 out of the 50 states use in various edited forms. FIFO, popular term in restaurants. It stands for first in, first out. That's FIFO, first in, first out. That's a way to remind the staff to rotate your product, always using the oldest product before it expires. HACCP, that is HACCP, that stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points. And it's basically just a management system where you're controlling your food and potential hazards throughout the life of the food on your food truck or food trailer. HD, you'll see a lot of people type that out, and that just stands for the health department. And again, it's just generic. LTO, I talk about that a lot. That stands for limited time only or limited time offer. Think of the McRib. That's a limited time offer that McDonald's does a couple of times a year. MFDV, that is Florida's designation for a mobile food vendor. And what that stands for is Mobile Food Dispensing Vehicle. MFE, that's Missouri's designation for a mobile food vendor. NRA, and that has nothing to do with weapons. It has to do with the National Restaurant Association. They're the ones that provide the ServSafe testing. ServSafe is a brand name. There are many companies that provide the food manager certification. One of the biggest is ServSafe. And again, it's owned by the National Restaurant Association. NSF, we see that a lot in equipment. And that stands for the National Sanitation Foundation. And their goal is to create standards for food safety and sanitation. Mainly what they're looking at is the ease of cleanability, and there's no places within that piece of equipment that would easily harbor bacteria, but they're difficult to clean. P&L, that stands for profit and loss. All businesses have some variation of a P&L, and of course the bottom line is what matters. We want to show a profit. P&O, a lot of companies use it. P&O stands for planning and organizing. PIC, and that is not send somebody a picture. PIC stands for person in charge. The FDA code talks about the person in charge. That's the one that has to have the food manager certification, and that's the one that holds the rest of the staff responsible for doing safe food handling practices. Whenever an inspector comes to your unit, they will ask who is in charge. POP, I mentioned that at the top of the episode. POP stands for point of purchase, and that refers to the physical advertising material that is changed periodically. So your menu board, you change it periodically, that's technically point of purchase. An A-frame sign that you change periodically, that is point of purchase. Pop-up, you may see a lot of food vendors talk about popping up. Technically, what that means is they are setting up at a random location with little to no advance notice, and they're the only people there. So they set up in front of Walmart. They set up on a street corner somewhere, a cul-de-sac. That's a pop-up. They're not there to support another event where the event is doing a lot of advertisement to draw a big bunch of crowd of people into the location. A pop-up is just you doing it on your own. Now understand, you could pop up at a brewery. You're still responsible for your own marketing. You're still responsible for your own social media to attract people to your food truck. POS. A lot of people talk about this on the Facebook group, and a POS stands for point of sale. And that has kind of morphed into being the cash register credit card processing units. They're all integrated together. Technically, a point of sale is just the cash register part of it. It's a way to track inventory. It's a way to understand how much money you have brought in the business and how much of that money is sales tax. The credit card processing is technically separate, because you can have a cash register, ring up everything as cash, and have a standalone credit card processing unit. And then you enter in how much money the particular sale is when they present the credit card. QSCC. You will hear a lot of restaurants talk about QSC, but I add on one more C. So QSCC stands for quality, service, cleanliness, and then the last C that I add on is community. The community is what you're doing not only in the civic area as far as you're being a part of your local community, but you're also building a community through your marketing and your creation of very loyal guests. R&M, that stands for repair and maintenance. That's something you should budget for and have money being set aside out of every single day's sales, because something is going to break down. And you would much rather have an account that has money waiting to be spent on repair and maintenance than to try to figure out where am I going to find the money to make this repair. SBA, that stands for Small Business Administration. They help small businesses to get organized, to understand their responsibilities as far as what the local community's rules and regulations might be, as well as the most important thing is help people get some type of financing. They guarantee loans. They do not fund loans. You'd have to go through whatever bank is going to do your loan, and then the SBA would guarantee the loan. That encourages banks to make loans to businesses that they may not feel good about. So the government is guaranteeing the bank will get repaid. There is a process to that, and it's a very complicated process in some cases, but it can be done. SOS, you'll hear me talk about that a lot. SOS stands for speed of service. This is monitored to make sure that you're getting the food off the truck as quickly as possible. And you can break it down into many different steps. Each step is measurable and each step becomes a point to improve. So for example, speed of service from the guest standpoint is the second that they join your line, whether they're the first person in line or the 50th person in line, because they are at your mercy. They are at your ability to move that line. And that's what they care about, because now they're on your clock and they want you to go as fast as possible. And yes, I know people will wait for good food. I hear that excuse, and that's what it is. It's an excuse to be slow. I hear it all the time. You're in the hospitality industry. We have to be hospitable. Not only are we being friendly, but we're being respectful of the people that are getting into our line. So the guy that's 50 people deep, he's on the clock. He's on your clock. What matters to him is how long he stands in your line and then how long it takes to get his food at the end of that order taking process. So speed of service would be the point that he joins the line until he's got the food in his hand and he's ready to eat. SOP. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. There are some health departments that actually require you to have a standard operating procedure for the food that would be the most dangerous. And we're talking about meats and poultries and dairy, the things that's got to stay under refrigeration and be monitored. STFU, that is a special transitory food unit. And that is used only in Michigan, at least as far as I know. It's the only state to designate their mobile units in that manner. SWOT, that stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. You got to always be measuring your performance against what's our strengths, what's our weaknesses, what are the opportunities that we can get better, and what are the threats coming into our neck of the woods. You can also analyze your competitors in that same manner. So there is just a short list of initials and acronyms that people say in our business. If you guys have any others, certainly send me a message and I can add them to our list. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow, because you know I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.